Welcome to Straight Talk with Supply Chain Insights. Today I'm interviewing one of my very favorite supply chain leaders, Ann Dozier. I met Ann about 15 years ago when she was working at Coca-Cola, and now she's working in Southern Wine and Spirits, and I think it may have actually changed names, so I'll let Ann correct me there. And she's the CIO. Ann, welcome to the show, and how do I properly say the name after the merger?
Thank you so much, Laura. It's great to be here today. And it is now officially Southern Glazer's Wine and Spirits, post-merger, but we go by Southern for short. So it's great to be here today and super excited to have the opportunity to chat with you.
Awesome. Well, tell the audience, because this show is really designed for people that are entering supply chain or considering changing a job to come into supply chain to learn from first and second generation supply chain pioneers. Walk us through your career, the big decisions you made and how you made them.
Absolutely. So I have actually been in the workforce now for 33 years, which is hard to believe. And 30 years of that has been in beverage distribution. So I started my career in carbonated soft drinks. I moved over to the dairy industry for a while, and now I've been in wine and spirits for the last 8 years. So my whole life has been all about getting beverages on the table for consumers. I have worked across multiple disciplines in my career. So for the last 10 years, I've actually been in IT, but prior to leading the IT function, I was in the commercial function. I was in a commercial operations function. I was in a sales role and also spent several years in supply chain. So I've had a varied background, which has really been extremely beneficial to me as I have continued to learn and grow in my career. I also have pretty extensive global experience. So although I focus right now in the US and Canada, spent a lot of time globally, which also has been great because all of our supply chains today are global, no matter what consumer base we serve. And I view myself as a transformational leader. So all the jobs that I've had in my career have been all about driving change and trying to make our companies better and improve our capabilities, both from an optimization standpoint as well as create growth for the organization. I'm also a natural collaborator, so I love to work in teams. I love to learn from others, and I love to see a cross-functional initiative that drives the company forward really make a difference in the company. I would say that today I'm in a place in my career where it's not all about what I can do, but how I can help others achieve their objectives, which ultimately help us achieve the company's goals. So, my buzzword is team, team, team. And as you continue to evolve in your career, it becomes more about others than it does about you. And that's something that I really love because I love to see other people achieve successes and also the value that the company gets from that.
Transformational leader. I do think of you as a transformational leader, but how do you define it and what do you think are the important characteristics?
Well, I think about three things as I think about what I love to do every day and how I've ended up in that transformational space. First of all, take every task or project as an opportunity. Use it as an opportunity to grow your knowledge, to build expertise and experience, and don't be afraid to take on the things that nobody else wants to do. I can think of many times in my career where I was willing to take on the big, ugly project that nobody wanted to touch that was so foundational to our change and our growth. And those were the things that really made me learn and grow and help me as I moved my career forward. Number two, reflect on what you've learned after each experience. So every opportunity to work with other people, every opportunity to work on a special project gives you the opportunity to add some type of nugget of experience into your toolbox. And so really make time after you finish a project to sit back and think about what is it I learned and how can I use that going forward. And then the third thing that I think is really important is always know what your destination is, but be open to options on how to get there. The journey is always the best part, and there's always different approaches that will allow you to get to the end destination. So don't assume that the straight path is always going to be the best path. There might be a lot of side roads that allow you to get to a much better place and achieve much more growth and value than you ever expected when you started the journey. So those are the three things that have really allowed me to to be a transformational leader and to think transformationally and add that value for my company.
Well, and I think you are magnificent in working with others and diffusing issues with just, wonderful humility and listening and, a sense of levity, which is always welcome. So what one piece of advice would you have for somebody coming into the supply chain today?
I think supply chain is an amazing career. And now that we're seeing the results of COVID and the impact it's had on supply chain and the impact that it's had on consumers being able to get the products that they want, I think that supply chain has now become so much more visible, and the importance of the supply chain within an organization is only growing. So my advice is there's lots of opportunities in supply chain. The supply chain is becoming much more technical. There's a lot of new technologies and artificial intelligence that allow us to think about the supply chain much differently. And I think the opportunities are unlimited in the supply chain realm because there's so many more types of roles. And I think that companies are really, really recognizing how important the supply chain is as part of their overall growth capabilities, as well as their overall value proposition as a company.
So seize the opportunity. Is that the advice?
Yes, absolutely. Seize the opportunity.
And how would they go about it?
How would they go about it? Well, I kind of go back to what I said around my advice. Take on every project or task as an opportunity. I think the great thing today is that there's a lot of educational tracks in the university system that allow you to actually become a supply chain professional. Back, Laura, when you and I were coming up, those didn't exist. So I think, really looking at that track in school and getting that education is valuable. There's also some education for business professionals to start focusing on supply chain. And so for me, there's so many roles open today in that space. It's just really getting the basic education to be able to come in and make that a career versus maybe how you and I got into it, Laura, which is kind of falling into it after we took a role with the company and they needed somebody to take on that arduous big task of transformation.
Which didn't even really have a clear responsibility at that time. But Ian, in my career with you, I've watched you mentor others and be mentored and take it really seriously. And to a degree, I haven't seen others do it. Can you talk about that relationship between someone who mentors you and mentoring of others and, why you take it seriously?
Well, Laura, I've always viewed you as a mentor, especially in the supply chain realm, because you were a pioneer in supply chain. And when I was early in my career and met you, it was great to have the opportunity to sit down and have those really strategic conversations with you as I sought to learn and drive change. So I thank you for your mentorship of me. I believe that mentorship is all about finding somebody that shares your values and beliefs, because that's what makes us who we are. And I call that my true north. And so I really enjoy mentoring people that have consistent values and beliefs that I can then work with to help them grow and achieve what they want to achieve in their life. And what I've also found is I've had the great fortune of working for some amazing companies, and all of those companies have had visions that matched my values and beliefs. And I've always had some great bosses too. And my bosses have always had that consistent base set of values, which for me has been about how do I wake up every day and make a big difference for the company that I work for? And how do I leave my mark wherever I go? And so for me, I think the mentor relationships and the mentee relationships are so important because it provides you the opportunity to have somebody to talk to that can help you grow and change and evolve and deliver that true north of adding value for your company through learning from others, but also having a sounding board to help you through some of the challenges that you may have. So for me, some of my big core values are servant leadership, helping others help themselves, making sure that I live every day with honesty, integrity, and transparency, and working with others to help them achieve those objectives as well.
So, Anne, I'm going to take away, and because I know you pretty well, I think that if you think about going to a company that doesn't have your shared values, you should think twice, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We spend so much time at work, and we have to make sure that we're connected with the company that we work for, the people that we work with, and ultimately see the vision of how to achieve what the company's trying to achieve. So I think it's really important to find that cultural match. I'm so fortunate that I found that here at Southern Glazers. I also had great experiences with other companies, but I believe that that is a key factor in the job search, is to make sure that you work for a company that you believe in, that you trust, and that you really support the vision of the management.
And that you get to know the management, right? So many times people have, a position, but they don't really get to know their management as people and to really get that mentor blessing. But the other thing I would tell people as I interview you, you have been super active in the industry. You work in an industry that has a lot of groups, and you work with a lot of upstream customers. And I've always loved watching you work in committees and being active in outside groups. Can you tell the audience a little bit about that and how you manage yourself? Because you're busy at the same time.
Well, I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to work externally as well as internally with the companies that I've worked with. And that has really been a tremendous value for me. First of all, when I think about all of the companies I've worked for, they all had a customer first mindset. So it was all about how do we make sure that our customers have the capabilities that they need to be able to serve that end consumer. And today I'm one step removed from the consumer, because legally and from a regulatory standpoint at Southern Glazers, we don't actually sell to consumers. We sell to outlets that serve consumers. And the thing that I always gained from the industry was having the opportunity to be in a forum with my customers in a way that was focused on how do we make the industry overall better. And by being part of those forums and learning in those forums, it also then gave me the opportunity to go back into my company and think about how do we become easier to do business with or deliver value that our customer needs in order to be able to serve that consumer. So if I remember back in the old days of the demand-driven supply network, Laura, which I think you were the one that coined, it was all about thinking consumer back. And the industry really allowed me that opportunity to connect with people that were one step closer to the consumer so that I could allow that opportunity for my company to think about how do we get one step closer to the customer. I also had the good fortune of working with some amazing people that worked for companies that were not necessarily doing the same thing my company was doing, but were in the same industry. And we had a lot of the same opportunities. And so I was able to learn from others through that community engagement as well. So, I'm all about learning, and anywhere that you can apply your knowledge and your expertise to allow you to then learn more, I think is really, really valuable. And hey, we can never forget about relationships. Building relationships are so important. And there's so many times when I picked up the phone and called somebody that I haven't worked with in 15 years that maybe I worked with in one of those industry groups and said, hey, I just had this opportunity. And I remember that you mentioned this 15 years ago. Can you give me some insights? And there's a tremendous amount of value in that network.
Fabulous advice. Now you're a CIO, and so you're buying and implementing technology and driving transformational change, dealing with a lot of consultants, technologists. I laugh. They all have their answers in the pretty PowerPoints, right? What advice do you have for technologists trying to better serve the CIO of the world?
I think technology is all about solving business problems. And today, technology is even more important than ever because, especially with COVID, I think we all learned that the shift to the web to do business was much faster than anyone would have ever imagined if we hadn't dealt with COVID. And so now I think technology is even taking more and more of a forefront. So to me, technology is all about enabling business and not technology for technology's sake. So my advice for someone in the technology space is make sure that you have a very tight collaborative partnership with your business. Make sure that everything you do from a technology perspective is grounded in business value, whether it be growth or optimization or savings. And make sure that you're leveraging the technologies that you have to the fullest. There are so many different technologies out there today that do so many little things, and it's really easy to end up with a very complex technology stack when in many cases you have technologies that have a tremendous amount of capability that you're just not leveraging. So for me, it's all about looking at the total technology ecosystem and applying that to the business as best possible, making sure that you're delivering that end value that really makes a difference for your company.
And getting clear on that business objective. My observation, Anne, is you're really good at that. So working with teams to ask the right questions and gain clarity. Well, Anne, thank you for joining the show today. I am so honored that you consider me one of your mentors. It's been my pleasure to know you in the industry, watch you work. I would encourage everyone to follow Anne's career. She is a shining star in supply chain. All the best. Until next time.
Thank you, Laura. Enjoyed it. Have a great day.
Okay, and we really do need to catch up, girlfriend.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Laura Ciceri, and I'm the founder of Supply Chain Insights, and I want to give you a personal invitation to join this year's Supply Chain Insights Global Summit. Now in its 8th year of doing this conference, we designed this for a unique experience for supply chain leaders to learn from technology leaders to think differently and drive new outcomes. We're hoping that you can make it on September 7th through the 9th in Franklin, Tennessee. In the conference, we handpick all of the speakers and we design the conference for a unique networking experience so that you leave to build a guiding coalition for change. We hope to see you there.